"You're sleeping with me this night," said the cowboy after rescuing the Apache girl. Dust swirled in the dying light as he knelt beside her, her bruised legs trembling against the barn wall. A lantern flickered, revealing the rope marks on her wrists, and the fear she tried to hide. But when she lifted her head, something in her eyes warned him this rescue was only the beginning. The wind pushed against the broken boards of the old barn, making them groan like tired spirits as the cowboy crouched beside the wounded Apache girl. Her breath came in quick, shallow bursts. A leaf of broken reed slipped from her shaking hands and fell onto the dirt. She didn't look up when the horse snorted behind them. She only curled tighter against the wall, as if the timber could swallow her whole. "Easy now," the cowboy whispered, his voice steady but low, the way one speaks to a startled animal. He reached for her arm, stopping when she flinched. Her skin was cold, too cold for the heat of the afternoon. A church bell rang somewhere far off, its sound drifting across the empty prairie like a warning. He glanced toward the open doorway, where the sun cast long stripes across the yard. Anyone could ride in. Anyone could be watching. The girl shifted, trying to pull her torn dress over the bruises on her legs. Her breath hitched when she moved. She wasn't crying, not anymore. She was past tears, past words, too. "You're staying under my roof tonight," he said again, softer this time. "No trouble will reach you there." She shook her head. A frightened motion, quick, sharp. Her fingers dug into the ground as if she feared being taken somewhere against her will. "I won't harm you," he said. "I won't let others do it either." A gust of wind swept through the doorway, lifting dust from the floor. The girl's hair shifted just enough to reveal a dark bruise along her cheekbone. The cowboy clenched his jaw, anger tightening his grip on his hat brim. Someone had done this. Someone who thought she was too small, too silent, too alone to fight back. He eased his coat from his shoulders and draped it around her. She didn't resist this time. The fabric swallowed her frame, hiding the scars, hiding the shaking. Outside, a pair of horses sounded in the distance, short, uneven steps, like riders searching rather than passing through. The cowboy stiffened. The girl did too. He rose with quiet urgency, offered his hand once more. "Come," he said. The horses grew louder, closer, and the girl whispered one trembling word that froze him in place, a word that meant those riders weren't strangers, but hunters. The riders' footsteps rumbled like a slow storm rolling down from the ridge. The cowboy didn't waste another breath. He reached for the girl's hand again, more firmly this time, but still gentle enough that she could pull away if fear overtook her. "Stand. Lean on me," he whispered. She hesitated, then rose with a quiet whimper. Her legs trembled under her weight, the coat slipping from her shoulders until he caught it and wrapped it tighter around her. She clutched the fabric as though it were the only shield left in the world. "They're coming," she said. Her voice cracked like dry twigs. "Who?" he asked. "My kin, but not for saving." Lightning cracked somewhere behind the hills, though no storm cloud hovered above them. The sound alone seemed to make the girl shrink inward, as if she'd learned to expect pain whenever nature raised its voice. The cowboy guided her toward the back exit of the barn, boots silent on the dirt. "Can you walk?" "For a little," she answered. "That's enough." They made it only a few steps before she faltered, gripping his arm to steady herself. He slid his hand beneath her elbow, supporting her weight without a word. A simple act of care, quiet, instinctive. One she didn't understand yet, one she wasn't used to receiving. Outside, and the sky had taken on a strange yellow glow, the kind that warns livestock before it warns men. Dust curled along the yard, rising in thin spirals. The horses' breathing grew louder behind the barn. 2 men, maybe 3, searching. The cowboy led her toward his waiting horse, tied loosely near a trough. "Up you go," he said. "I can't," she whispered. "They'll punish you. Let them try." She stared at him then, really stared, not with boldness, but disbelief, as if she'd never heard a man refuse fear on her behalf. He lifted her onto the saddle, careful not to touch the bruised marks on her legs. She gripped the horn, knuckles white. The cowboy swung up behind her and gathered the reins, but before he could nudge the horse forward, the girl stiffened. "They smell the tracks," she whispered. You sure? They always follow tracks. The cowboy exhaled sharply, scanning the yard, hoof prints from his own ride-in, bare footprints from where she had crawled out of the barn, all of it a trail straight to them. He steered the horse toward the narrow alley between two sheds, hoping the shadows might hide them long enough to gain distance. The girl pressed closer to him, gripping the saddle horn with trembling hands. A deep voice boomed from behind the barn. "Girl, step out!" She flinched so violently he could feel her bones shake. "They'll drag me back," she whispered. "Drag you too?" He leaned forward. "No one's dragging you anywhere." The horse shifted nervously, sensing the unease in both of them. The cowboy tugged lightly on the reins. "Easy, boy. Quiet now." They slipped deeper into the alley, hooves brushing against gravel. The sheds narrowed the pathway until only a sliver of sky hung above them. The girl listened to the approaching riders, tilting her head like someone raised to read danger through sound more than sight. "They split," she whispered. "One left, one right," he frowned. "You hear that?" "Yes. Always heard too much." The cowboy guided the horse to a halt. "If they split, they'll find us quicker." "Yes," she said. "Unless we hide wrong on purpose." He blinked. "What's that mean?" "Take us where they expect, then leave the place they don't." It was a riddle spoken through fear, but he understood. A false trail, a misdirection. Clever, for someone who had been beaten into silence. "Hold tight," he said. He turned the horse toward the open yard, straight into the direction the riders would expect her to flee. The girl gasped. "They'll see us." "Not for long." As they emerged into the open, the riders' silhouettes appeared near the barn, just shapes in the dust-filled light. One raised a hand to shield his eyes. The other leaned forward in the saddle. "Girl!" the first man shouted again. "Come here." This time the cowboy answered. "No," he said, calm, cold. "Final." Both riders straightened, startled by the voice challenging them. "Who's that?" the second man demanded. "Someone she ain't going back with." A moment of tense silence followed. Then the cowboy jerked the reins. The horse leapt forward, hooves tearing through dirt, sending dust into a blinding cloud. The riders cursed and spurred their mounts, chasing after them. The girl clung to the cowboy's coat, her breath hitting rhythm with the pounding hooves. "They'll gain on us," she cried. "Not if we lose them first." He veered sharply toward a dry creek bed, letting the horse's hooves scatter gravel across the open ground. Thunder rumbled again, closer now, though the sky remained unnaturally clear. Behind them, the riders shouted orders, the words carried by wind. The creek bed dipped suddenly. "Lean!" he warned. She obeyed, gripping the saddle horn with desperate strength. They dropped into the dry channel. The walls rose on either side, hiding them from view. Water-carved stone twisted like a maze before them. "Down here they can't see," she whispered. "Down here," he replied. "We can't see either." A faint echo rolled up the canyon, hoofbeats entering the upper ridge. The girl stiffened. "They know this place," she whispered. "They know every turn." The cowboy lifted his gaze toward the canyon walls, searching for an out. Then he saw it, a dark opening high in the stone, a cave, small, narrow, just big enough for two, not big enough for a horse. He pulled the reins hard. "We need to climb," he said. "Climb now. Now." The riders' echoes grew louder, closer, closing in. And as the cowboy slid from the saddle and reached up to lift her down, the girl stared at the cave, her face draining of color. "That place," she whispered, "that place isn't empty." The cowboy stared at the dark hole in the canyon wall. The girl's warning echoed between the stone like trapped breath. "What's inside?" he asked. She shook her head fast. "Old things, dead things, spirits angry with living feet." He scanned the ridge above them. Hoofbeats bounced down the stone like rolling thunder. The riders were close, too close for a slow climb. "We can't stay here," he said. "They'll find the tracks." "They always do." He stepped closer to the cave, testing the stone with his boot. A loose pebble tumbled down, echoing deep inside. Something shifted within the darkness, not loud, but enough to make the girl clutch his coat. "It moves," she whispered. "Maybe just wind." "No wind breathes like that." The cowboy set his jaw. "You trust me?" She hesitated, trembling. "Yes," she finally whispered. Then we climb. He lifted her first, hands steady beneath her feet as she found holds in the cracked stone. She climbed slowly, body shaking with each reach, but she climbed. Halfway up, dust rained onto his face with every one of her steps. "You're doing fine," he called quietly. "Don't let go," she said. "I won't." Her fingers reached the cave's edge. She pulled herself inside and vanished into the dark. For a moment he couldn't see her, only the hollow void swallowing her shape. His heart clenched. "Girl, you all right?" "Yes. It's cold." He climbed after her, swinging into the cave as a shout burst through the canyon below. "There!" one rider yelled. "Up the wall!" Stone splintered as a bullet struck just below the cave mouth. Dust exploded around them. The girl gasped and pressed herself against the far wall. "They'll shoot again," she whispered. "No," the cowboy said. "They want you alive." Another shot cracked the air. "Alive," she repeated, "but punished." He crawled deeper into the cave until he reached her. She sat curled on the ground, arms tight around her knees. The air inside was colder, the kind that seeps into the bones. He draped his coat around her shoulders again. "Warm now," he murmured. She nodded. "Thank you." Outside, the riders' voices bounced against the stone. "She's in the hole. Smoke them out." "No, she is worth more breathing." The cowboy tightened his jaw. "What do they want with you?" "Debt," she whispered. "Your debt? Someone else's?" She lowered her head. Her hair covered the bruise on her cheek like a curtain of shame. He leaned closer. "You're not property. They say I am. They're wrong." For the first time, her eyes lifted to meet his. Even in the dark, he saw the flicker of disbelief, belief waiting to be born. A sudden rustle echoed behind them. She froze. "There," she mouthed. "I heard it." Something moved deeper inside the cave, too slow for a man, too heavy for wind. The cowboy reached instinctively toward his belt, fingers brushing the grip of his knife. "Stay behind me," he whispered. "But you can't see," she said. "I see enough." The sound came again. Scrape, drag, pause. The cowboy crouched, knife ready, muscles pulled tight. The girl clung to his coat with one hand, the stone wall with the other. "What is it?" she whispered. "Could be an animal. Or bones walking," she whispered. "Bones don't walk." "Some do." He shot her a quick look. "Have you seen bones walk?" "No, but old people said cave spirits chase the weak." "We're not weak," he said. The movement stopped. Silence filled the cave like thick smoke. The cowboy's breath felt loud in his own ears. The girl's trembling pressed against his side. Outside, a rider shouted, "Find brush, smoke them out." Another shouted back, "Fire could bring the whole cliff down. Then start small," the cowboy cursed under his breath. "We need another way out." "There is none," she whispered. "One hole only." He tried to see deeper into the cave, but the dark was complete. "Maybe there's a crack, something narrow." "Not for two." He didn't answer. He couldn't, because she was right. The cave was a grave with one open mouth. Then a faint glow flickered far inside, blue, weak, wavering like a dying coal. The girl clutched his arm. "It wakes," she breathed. "What wakes?" "The thing that sleeps until blood comes." He stiffened. "No one is bleeding." She touched her lip. A small cut glistened there from the climb. "Now it smells it." A low rumble rolled from the cave's belly, slow, ancient, hungry. The cowboy grabbed her hand. "Back to the edge," he whispered. "They'll shoot," she said. "They won't shoot what they can't see." The rumble grew louder. A shifting shape scraped against the stone. Then a deep breath, too large for any animal he knew, filled the cave. The girl's voice came out in a terrified whisper. "That isn't a creature." "Then what is it?" he asked. She swallowed hard. "It's something left behind. Something my people feared." The rumble stopped. And then, from the dark, two pale shapes opened. Eyes. The cowboy froze as the two pale shapes hovered in the darkness. They were still, unblinking, too steady for a torch reflection. Too high off the ground to belong to a snake? The girl gripped his coat, her nails digging through the fabric. "It watches us," she whispered. He steadied his breath. No spirits, he murmured. Only flesh. Another low rumble vibrated through the stone, heavy and resentful, like an animal disturbed in its last refuge. The cowboy tightened his grip on the knife. "Stay behind me," he said. "What is it?" she whispered. He listened again. A wet breath. A grinding shift of weight. A faint scrape of claws against rock. "A cat," he said. "A big one." She gasped. "Mountain lion. Old one, by the sound." The rumble deepened, echoing through the cave until it pressed against their ribs. The cowboy took one step back, guiding the girl with him. "They hide in places like this," he whispered, "in the dark, where no men bother them." Outside, the riders shouted again. "She's in the cave! Smoke them out!" The cougar's ears flicked toward the noise. Its tail, just barely visible in the low blue glow, lashed once across the stone. The girl whispered, "It will attack." "Only if cornered," the cowboy replied. "We are cornered." "We'll move slow." Another voice boomed from outside. "Block the opening. Starve them out." The girl shivered violently. "They trap us. The cat traps us. Both sides trap us." The cowboy leaned toward her. "Look at me." She did. We walk sideways. Slow. Keep close to the wall. "And the cat. Let it see our hands. No threat." Her breath trembled, but she nodded. He moved first, sliding one boot at a time along the cold stone. She mirrored him. The cougar watched every inch, its muscles tightened under its ribs, ready to spring if the cavern space narrowed too much. "Don't stare at it," the cowboy whispered. "Why?" "Staring is challenge. What do I do? Blink slow. Show peace." She blinked. Long, slow. The cougar's tail stilled for a moment. They moved. An ember drifted from the cave mouth. Orange, bright, swirling through the air. Smoke followed, thin at first, then thicker. The girl coughed. "They burn brush," she whispered. "Too close," he answered. "Smoke rises." The cougar snapped its jaws once at the drifting smoke. Agitated. It shifted backward, deeper into the cave, but not enough to give them a clear path. "They push fire near the entrance," the cowboy said. "They kill us." "No, they want you alive." "But smoke kills fast." "Only if the fire grows." The smoke crept farther into the cave, curling around their legs. The girl pulled the coat over her mouth. "What do we do?" she whispered. The cowboy scanned the cave wall, the stone edges, the shadows. Then he saw it, a narrow split in the rock near the cougar's left side, just wide enough for a person to slip through. He leaned close to her ear. "We go through there. Past the cat. Yes. It kills us. Not if we move quiet." She stared at the narrow crack. "It is small. You can fit. And you." "I'll manage." Outside, the riders argued. "Not too much fire. She's worth coin. We smoke them only." Smoke thickened. The cougar snarled and pressed itself against the far wall, tail lashing. Too many threats, too little room. A trapped predator. The cowboy steadied his voice. "Girl, listen close." "I listen. When I say run, you run into that crack. And you." "I follow after." "What if you don't?" she whispered. "I will." The cougar growled, low and warning. The cowboy whispered, "Ready?" "No," she said. "Good," he replied. "Fear keeps you alive." He counted under his breath. 1, 2. A sudden rush of thick smoke poured into the cave, rolling across the floor like a dark wave. 3, go! The girl sprinted toward the crack, slipping sideways through the narrow opening as the cougar lunged. Not toward her, but away from the smoke, slashing the air where she'd been a heartbeat earlier. The cowboy dove after her, scraping his shoulder against the rock, shoving his body into the gap as the cougar snarled behind them. The stone tore at his coat, at his arms, but he pushed through, emerging into a pitch-black tunnel barely wide enough to crawl. The girl gasped somewhere ahead. "I'm here," she whispered. "I know," he answered. Behind them, the cougar clawed at the crack. Dust rained down. The stone shook. "Keep moving," he said. "I can't see," she whispered. Follow the air." A faint draft brushed his cheek, a sign of another exit, maybe small, maybe far, but real. Then, from behind the rock wall, a rider's voice echoed. "They didn't come out. Check the sides." Boots scraped stone. Shadows passed over the cave mouth, and the cowboy realized something far worse than the cougar. The riders had noticed the narrow crack too. The crack behind them trembled as Boots scraped the stone outside. The cowboy pressed his palm to the rough wall, feeling each vibration like a heartbeat. The girl crouched close beside him, her breath shaky and shallow. "They know," she whispered. "Maybe," he answered. "They look for narrow path. Then we move faster." The tunnel was tight, too tight for a man to stand. The cowboy crawled on elbows. The girl scurried ahead, guided by the faint draft brushing her cheeks. "Keep left hand on the wall," he murmured. "It helps. Keeps you straight." "I do." Behind them, a rough voice called out, "Light a torch. Check the sides." The girl gasped softly. "They will see holes." "They'll miss one," he said. "How?" "Because they rush." A dry cough escaped her lips. The smoke seeping through the crack still clung to their clothes. The cowboy covered her mouth gently. "Slow breaths," he whispered. "Hurts." "I know. Slow." He moved his hand to guide her forward. She took it, fingers trembling but trusting. They crawled deeper until the tunnel narrowed again. "It's smaller," she whispered. "You can fit," he said. "And you." "I'll try." She squeezed through first, twisting her body sideways. Pebbles clattered under her palms as she pushed through the pinch point. The cowboy followed, stones scraping his shoulders. A shout burst from the cave outside. "So there's a crack here. Big enough for a child?" "Maybe two," the girl whimpered. "They know." "They guess," the cowboy said. "Not know." "They follow," she whispered. Not yet, but he wasn't sure. The tunnel's tightness meant sound carried strangely, sometimes close and sometimes far. The cowboy listened, a faint echo, boots sliding over rock. Too close. "Go," he said. "Where?" "Toward the air." "You feel it?" "Yes." "A little?" "Follow that." She crawled faster, her breath shallow and hurried. The cowboy kept close behind, pushing her gently forward whenever she slowed. Then the tunnel angled downward. Sharp, sudden. The girl froze. "Drop," she whispered. "How far?" "I don't know." The cowboy reached past her, letting a stone slip from his fingers. It bounced once, twice, then silence. "Not far," he said. "I'm scared." "I'll catch you." She hesitated, then slid forward. Her body dropped into the dark. A soft thud, a gasp. "I'm okay," she whispered. He followed, landing beside her. The small chamber smelled of cool earth and old water. Somewhere close, he heard dripping. The girl pointed upward. "No light." "That means thick stone," he said. "Bad. Means they won't see us." She nodded. Relief fluttered across her expression, brief but real. A micro-victory. He searched the chamber walls with his hands. "There must be another way," he murmured. "Why?" "Air moves." She lifted her face. "I feel wind." "Good," he said. "That means an opening." They pressed deeper into the side chamber. His hand brushed damp stone, then space, a wider opening. "This way," he said. As they entered the new passage, the girl whispered, "You saved me again." "Not done saving," he replied. She paused, fingers touching his arm. "Why help me?" "No one else would." Her breath caught. A soft sound, pain mixed with something warmer. Before the cowboy could say more, a steady glow appeared behind them. Torchlight. Someone had found the crack. The cowboy grabbed the girl's hand. "Run!" They hurried into the new passage. The floor sloped upward this time, uneven but manageable. They moved quickly, but the chamber amplified every noise. A voice echoed down the tunnel. "Tracks here, fresh tracks." The girl's breath hitched. "They chase hard." "That's what men do," he answered. "What do we do?" "Stay ahead." But the tunnel narrowed again, this time to a slit barely wide enough for a single person to squeeze sideways. She touched the stone. "I fit." "You don't." "I will," he said. "No," she whispered. "Too small." Torchlight glowed closer. Boots struck stone. Voices sharpened. "Move," the cowboy said. "You first." She slid sideways into the slit. Her body twisted through, scraping against the rock. She disappeared to the other side. "Your turn," she whispered. "Back up," he said. "Give me room." He pressed his shoulder into the narrow opening. Stone bit hard into his ribs. He forced deeper. The rock groaned. Behind him, a rider shouted, "I see their shadows." The cowboy pushed harder. The stone resisted. His coat snagged. His breath tightened. "Come," she whispered. "Push more." He shoved his body, ribs grinding. The rock scraped skin. The slit held him, half in, half out. Boots thundered down the passage. The girl reached through the darkness, grabbing his wrist. "I pull," she said. "It won't help." "I pull," she repeated. Voices rang out behind him. "There, at the narrow pass. They're trapped." He twisted his body, forcing his shoulder through the gap. A sharp crack echoed through the stone. Not a gunshot, not a shout. The wall. A fissure snapped open beside his face. Pebbles spilled. Dust rained. The stone was shifting, collapsing. And the girl whispered one terrified word: "Fall." The crack in the stone widened with a deep, grinding shudder, sending a strip of dust across the cowboy's face. His ribs screamed as he forced his body deeper into the tight passage. Behind him, the riders shouted over the rising rumble. "He's stuck. Grab him. Don't shoot. Girl's worth coin." The girl's fingers wrapped around his wrist again, small but fierce. "Pull," she whispered. "I'm trying," he grunted. "Push more," she urged. "Stone's tight." The fissure snapped wider with a sharp pop. Pebbles scattered across the tunnel floor. One rider cursed, "Back up! The wall's shifting!" "Hold the torch steady!" The cowboy sucked in a thin breath, twisted his hips, and shoved one last time. His shoulder scraped free, his chest slid through. Then his body spilled into the passage on the other side, landing hard beside the girl. She reached for him instantly. "You hurt." "Only scraped," he said. "You bleed." "It's nothing." A micro-victory, brief, fragile. The stone behind them groaned again. Dust poured through the slit like sand through broken fingers. "Stone breaks more," she whispered. "That helps us," he said. "How?" "They can't crawl through a fall." Boots pounded the floor on the far side of the narrowing crack. "They won't make it," one rider growled. "Push the stone," another barked. "Widen it." The cowboy's eyes widened. "They'll try to break through," he said. "They crush us," she whispered. "Not if we move fast." He rose to his knees, steadying the girl as she stood. The new passage was taller, still narrow, but walkable. The air drifted cool across their faces. "This way," he said. "You sure?" "I smell fresh air." "You smell?" she asked softly. "Sometimes." They moved deeper. Each step away from the collapsing crack felt like a stolen second of safety. Dripping water echoed from somewhere ahead, steady, rhythmic, like a heartbeat carved into stone. The girl pressed her hand to the wall as they walked. "Feels smooth," she whispered. "Water did that," he said. "Old water. Very old." The tunnel widened again, opening into a cavern lit by a thin shaft of light from above. A natural skylight, barely a sliver, but enough to paint the space in a cold silver glow. The girl lifted her hand toward the beam. "Sky. Good sign," he said. "Means way out." "Means maybe." She stepped forward, but stopped abruptly. "What?" he asked. "Look," she whispered, pointing. Against the far wall sat a collapsed wooden frame, old-y, broken, half-rotted. A miner's cart axle, rusted tools, a lantern long gone dark. "This place mined before," she said. "Abandoned," he replied. "Dangerous?" "Yes." Another rumble rolled through the cavern, this one deeper. From the stone itself. "The wall falls more," she whispered. "That's them pushing," he said. "They break rock soon." "We're not waiting for them." He scanned the cavern. Saw two possible paths, one narrow, dropping downward, the other wide but cracked, leading toward the faint smell of open air. "We go right," he said. "Why not left? Left drops. And could kill us." Her throat tightened. Right then, they hurried toward the upward path. The cowboy kept a hand on her back, guiding her gently. Then, a sharp metallic clink. He froze. "You hear that?" "Yes," she whispered. "Metal, not from rock." "No." The clink came again, rhythmic, controlled, like a tool striking stone. "Someone else here," he murmured. "Not riders." "No," they'd shout. The girl stepped closer. "A man down tunnel," she whispered. "Maybe injured," he said. "Or hiding. Or guarding something." A soft glow flickered around the bend. Not torchlight, too steady, too white. "What is that?" she breathed. "Could be sunlight," he said. "From where?" "A side break." They crept forward. The cowboy raised a hand, signaling silence. The girl nodded, breath tight. As they rounded the bend, the glow sharpened. A man stood there, tall, thin, coat torn, hair wild, a shovel in one hand, a lantern in the other. He looked half-starved, half-mad, eyes sunken but alert. He swung the shovel once, lightly, just enough to send sparks off the rock. The girl gasped. "He see us." "Yes," the cowboy murmured. The stranger lifted the lantern higher. "You too," he said, voice rough as dust. "Stay back." The cowboy stepped slightly in front of the girl. "We don't want trouble," he said. "Then turn around," the stranger hissed. "We can't," the cowboy replied. "No turning," the girl whispered. "They chase us." The stranger blinked. "Riders?" "Yes," the cowboy said. "Coming here?" "Soon." A strange fear flashed across the man's eyes. "No," he muttered. "Not again." He backed toward a narrow timbered shaft, clutching the shovel like a weapon. "You bring them down here," he said. "You doom me." "We seek exit," the cowboy said. "There is none," the stranger spat. "There's air moving," the girl whispered. "Not enough," he answered. "Where does it come from?" the cowboy asked. The stranger's jaw twitched. "From the cliffside," he said. "A cut small as a shovel blade." "Will it fit her?" the cowboy asked. "No," the stranger said. "Maybe the girl—" The girl's eyes widened. "And you?" she asked the cowboy. "I'll manage," he said. "You won't," the stranger muttered. Then boots echoed from far behind. Riders entering the cavern system. The stranger lifted his lantern, fear splitting his voice. "You didn't say they were this close." "We move," the cowboy said. "Where?" the girl whispered. The stranger pointed toward a set of unstable support beams. "There," he said. "Behind that. But if you touch the wrong beam—" The cavern trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling. A crack split across the timber, and the stranger whispered, "The whole mine comes down." The cavern trembled again, sending a thin stream of dust swirling through the lantern light. The stranger flinched as though the earth itself were warning him. "Don't touch anything," he barked. "We won't," the cowboy replied. "You say now," the stranger muttered. But fear shakes hands. The girl stared at the cracked beams. "It falls easy." "Yes," the stranger said. "Too easy." "How old is this place?" the cowboy asked. "Older than my regrets." Voices echoed from the tunnels, low at first, then sharper. "They entered the outer shaft," the cowboy murmured. "They follow scent," the girl whispered. "No scent," the stranger growled. "Dust everywhere." The cowboy studied the beams. Each one sagged under its own weight. "Behind that is the air passage." "Yes," the stranger said. "Thin cut in the rock. And beyond that, a slope to daylight, but only for the small." The girl lowered her gaze. "You go," she whispered to the cowboy. "I'm not leaving you," he said. "You must," she said quietly. "No," he answered. The stranger scoffed. "Both can't fit. Not through that cut." The cowboy stepped forward. "I'll widen it." "No," the stranger shouted. "You hit the wrong stone. We all die." The cavern rumbled again, longer this time. Pebbles rolled across the floor. The girl clutched the cowboy's coat. "Please, hurry." "I'm thinking," he murmured. "Thinking won't stop them," the stranger said. A distant torch glowed at the far end of the tunnel. The riders were close. "Move!" one shouted. "They're near!" another called. The cowboy tightened his grip on the girl's hand. "We need a plan," You lead, she whispered. I always do. He turned to the stranger. You know these tunnels. I know too much, the man said. Then help us. Why would I? They'll kill you too, the cowboy replied. The stranger's face tightened. They want the girl, not me. They'll silence witnesses, the cowboy said. They always do. The stranger's lantern flickered. A trace of panic crossed his eyes. Fine, he said. But if the beams fall, it's on you. Show the passage, the cowboy replied. The stranger pointed to a narrow corner behind the decayed supports. There, behind that crossbeam. The girl peered around it. So small. You'll slip through, the cowboy said. And you? I'll follow if I can. You cannot, the stranger muttered. The girl's voice trembled. I won't go alone. You must, the cowboy whispered. No, she whispered back. Yes! A heavy thud echoed through the tunnel, a boot striking stone. They're right behind, the stranger said. The cowboy moved toward the beam. How fragile. Touch wrong, the stranger said, and we all drown in stone. The girl tugged his sleeve. Let me go first. He shook his head. I'll test the beam. You said dangerous, she whispered. I've held worse things. She looked at him, fear and trust tangled in her expression. Don't die, she whispered. I don't plan to, he replied. He pressed his palm to the beam. It groaned but held. Good, the stranger murmured. Soft hands. Move back, the cowboy said. The stranger retreated. Another voice echoed from the tunnel. I see light. They're ahead. Hurry up. The cowboy knelt beside the small opening behind the beam. Girl, go. She shook her head again. You follow? I'll try. You promise? Always. She swallowed, then slid into the narrow gap. Her shoulders squeezed through, her breath quickened. I see light, she whispered. Good, the cowboy said. Keep going. Then the beam shifted. A deep groan rolled through the cavern. The stranger cursed. You pushed too hard. The cowboy steadied it. Girl, move faster. I'm stuck, she cried. No, he whispered. You can do it. Her feet kicked against the rock. It holds me. Twist your shoulder, he said. It hurts. I know. Do it. Behind them, torchlight spilled into the cavern. There, a rider shouted. They're cornered. The stranger trembled. We're dead. No, the cowboy said. He braced both hands against the beam. Come on, he urged the girl. I try, she cried, voice cracking. Her arm slipped forward. Then her shoulder, she gasped. I'm through. Good, go to the light. What about you? I'm right behind. The riders entered the cavern. There he is. Grab him. Shoot the shadow. The cowboy shoved himself toward the gap. The beam cracked. A sharp snap. A violent shudder. The stranger screamed, Get out! It's falling! The cowboy forced his body halfway into the opening. The rock scraped his ribs. Dust rained from the ceiling. Take my hand! The girl cried from the other side. I'm coming! He shouted. A rider lunged forward, grabbing the cowboy's boot. I have him! The man yelled. The cowboy kicked hard. The beam split down the middle. A thunderous rumble exploded through the cavern, and the ceiling began to collapse. The ceiling gave a roaring crack as the beams split, sending a storm of dust and stone into the cavern. The cowboy felt the ground jump beneath him. The rider, gripping his boot, cursed and let go as rocks hammered the floor. Move! The girl cried from the other side. I'm trying! The cowboy shouted. Hurry! Don't let go! The stranger screamed. Get out of the shaft! Get out! The cowboy shoved his body forward. Stone scraped skin. His chest squeezed between jagged rock. Breath knocked from his lungs. The girl's hand reached through the narrow opening. Small, shaking, desperate. Take it, she cried. I'm reaching. Faster. A boulder slammed behind him. The rider who'd grabbed him shouted something, then vanished beneath a cloud of falling debris. The cavern swallowed his voice. The cowboy lunged. His fingertips grazed the girl's. Grab me, he gasped. I have you, she whispered. She pulled with every ounce of strength she had. He kicked backward, pushing off sliding rubble. Another thunderous crash shook the mine. Hurry, she cried again. I'm coming. With a final wrench of muscle, he slid free of the collapsing cavern and tumbled into the narrow escape shaft. The girl fell backward with him. She wrapped her arms around his shoulders in sheer instinct. "You're safe," he rasped. "You came," she whispered. "Told you I would." A micro-victory, just a breath long. Then the shaft trembled again. Dust drifted from the ceiling. "More falling," she whispered. "Could be settling," he said. "Or breaking. Let's hope settling." Behind them, the cavern roared one last time. The opening they had squeezed through slammed shut with a massive collapse. Stone filled the space where the stranger stood. The girl gasped. "The man!" The cowboy lowered his head. "He didn't make it." She touched the rock where the opening once was. "He feared this place. He was right to." "Did he die because of us?" "No," the cowboy said. "Because of them." A torch flame flickered behind the sealed wall, then winked out. Silence followed. "How many follow still?" the girl whispered. "Maybe 2, he said. "Maybe more." "We move." The shaft angled upward sharply. She crawled first. He followed, breath tight, ribs aching. "Light ahead," she whispered. "That's good." Small light. Still good. They climbed toward the faint glow. Air drifted through the stone, fresh, cool, alive. The shaft widened enough for them to kneel. The girl pressed her hand to the wall. "I smell pine," she whispered. "Means outside soon." She crawled faster, impatience warming her fear. The cowboy reached for her ankle gently. "Slow," he said. "Why?" "Could be drop ahead." "Oh." She slowed. The passage bent sharply. The light grew brighter. A thin blade of daylight cut through a jagged crack in the rock. "There," she whispered. "Looks tight," he said. "I can slip." "You test first." "And you." "I follow after." She nodded and wriggled toward the opening. Her shoulders squeezed through. A grunt, a twist, then a gasp. "I see trees," she whispered. "Good. And sky." "Better." She slipped out completely. A soft thump told him she'd reached the outside ground. "Your turn," she said. "I'm coming." He began to push his way forward. The crack resisted him at the ribs. "Breath out," she whispered. He exhaled. His chest shrank. He pushed deeper. Dust scraped his skin. "You fit," she encouraged. "Barely." Half his torso passed through. He reached toward her hand. "Grab me," he said. "I have you," she whispered. He pulled, then a voice echoed down the shaft behind him. "There he is, in the break." The cowboy froze. The girl's eyes widened. "They come," she whispered. Boots hammered stone behind him. Torchlight flared. "Hurry," she cried. "I'm stuck," he grunted. "Push harder." "I am," a rider shouted. "He's half out. Grab him." Hands grabbed the cowboy's boot again, hard, wrenching, brutal. The girl screamed, "No." He kicked wildly. "Let go." "Not a chance," the rider snarled. The girl reached deeper through the crack, hands trembling. "Take my arms," she begged. "I'm trying." The rider dragged him backward. The girl pulled forward. Stone scraped skin. Boots slipped on dust. The cowboy growled, "I won't go back." "You will," the rider spat. The girl cried out, "Please, don't take him." The rider snarled, "Let her scream." "She's next." Something broke inside the girl's voice, a fierce, terrified strength. She grabbed a rock with both hands, and she raised it. The rock trembled in the girl's hands. Her breath came fast, sharp, panicked, but full of something new, a rising fire that fear could not smother. "Let him go," she cried. The rider yanked harder on the cowboy's boot, dragging him another inch back into the shaft. Dust filled the air. "Hit him," the cowboy shouted. "I don't want to kill," she cried. "He'll kill me. I can't. You must." The rider snarled, "Come here, girl." She swung. The rock cracked against his knuckles. The rider shouted, stumbling back, dropping the cowboy's boot. The cowboy surged forward through the crack. "Again," he shouted. She swung a second time, this one on pure instinct. The rock smashed against the rider's wrist. He cursed loudly, torch falling behind him. A small victory. A breath of hope. But the torch rolled across the cavern floor, sparks jumping. The cowboy pushed harder through the opening. "Pull me!" "I have you," she yelled. She grabbed his wrists, heels digging into dirt. He twisted, ribs scraping stone. His boot slipped free from the rider's reach. Behind him, the rider spat blood. "You'll pay for that." "Pull!" the cowboy barked. "I'm trying," she cried. He shoved with both legs. The girl tugged with both hands. Dust rained. Stone cracked. His shoulders passed through the narrow break, then his chest. Then finally he spilled out onto the pine-blanketed slope outside. He rolled beside her, coughing. "You did it," he rasped. "You came out," she whispered. "No thanks to him," the rider inside shouted. "Block the opening. Don't let them flee." The girl grabbed the cowboy's coat. "They close it. We move," he said. "Where?" "Downhill." The slope outside was steep, covered in loose dirt and broken branches. Wind swept through the pines, carrying the smell of rain, though the sky above was clear. He helped her stand. "Hold my arm." "I do." They hurried down the slope, sliding on loose soil. The girl slipped once. He caught her. "You're safe," he whispered. "Only with you," she said. Her words stopped him for half a heartbeat, but only half. "We can talk later," he said. "Move." Behind them, the crack in the rock widened. A rider shoved his arm through, trying to break more stone. "There they go. Get the horses." The girl's eyes widened. "They ride fast." "We run faster." They reached the bottom of the slope, emerging beside a narrow ravine carved by winter floods. Water trickled below, small but swift. "We follow it," she asked. "They can't track water," he said. "Good." They slid into the ravine, mud dampening their boots. Branches snapped behind them, heavy, hurried. "They come closer," she whispered. "Keep down." She crouched beside him, gripping the edge of his coat. "You hurt?" she asked softly. "Scraped," he said. "Nothing worse." "You bleed from ribs." Later, the water grew deeper as they followed the ravine. Mud sucked at their feet. The girl stumbled. He caught her again. "Stay close," he said. "I do." A sudden clap of thunder rolled across the sky, loud, sharp, unnatural for a clear evening. The girl flinched. "Storm." "No clouds," the cowboy murmured. "Then what?" "Something big." He wasn't wrong. A gunshot echoed across the ridge. "Down!" he shouted. They ducked as a bullet slammed into the dirt beside them, spraying mud. "They shoot us," she cried. "They aim to scare," he said. "Then real shot next." "Likely." Voices rose from the ridge. "Down the ravine. Cut them off at the creek." The cowboy grabbed her hand and pulled her deeper into the water. "We must move faster," he said. "Yes," she whispered. "I follow." The ravine forked ahead, one path narrow and shaded, the other wide, bright and open. "Left?" she asked. "No," he said. "Too quiet." "Right?" "They'll expect right." "So where?" "Under." He pointed to a fallen pine spanning the shallow water. Its roots created a natural crawl space just tall enough for two bodies. "We hide," she whispered. "For now," he said. They ducked beneath the pine trunk. Water chilled their legs. The girl pressed close, trembling in the cold. "You okay?" he asked. "Yes, only cold." "Hold my coat." He wrapped one side of it around her shoulders. She leaned into him, breath warming his collar. "Why help me always?" she whispered. "Because someone must," he said. "No one ever did before." "Then now they do." A small silence, soft, shaking, full, then hoofbeats crashed above the ravine. "Search the banks," a rider barked. "They're near." "Find tracks," another voice answered. "Tracks end at the water. Look lower." The cowboy pressed a hand gently over the girl's back. "Quiet now." "Yes," she breathed. Hoofbeats stopped right above them. A rider dismounted. Boots hit ground. Water dripped from the fallen trunk like ticking clocks. The cowboy's heart hammered slow, steady. The girl's breath trembled against his coat. Then, a boot stepped onto the pine trunk above their heads. The wood creaked. The rider muttered, "If they're under this tree, I'll drag them out myself." The boot shifted on the pine trunk above them, pressing weight into the old wood. It groaned softly, the sound rolling through the hollow space where the cowboy and the girl pressed themselves into the wet earth. She squeezed his arm so hard her fingers shook. "He hears us," she whispered. He kept his voice low and steady. "No," he murmured. "Not if we stay still." The rider above them sniffed the air. "Tracks end right here," he called. "Water's too stirred." Another voice answered from farther up the ravine. "Maybe they doubled back. Or maybe," the man above them said, "they're hiding like rats." The girl's breath hitched. "I can't breathe quiet," she whispered. "You can," the cowboy said. "It hurts. Breathe smaller." He shifted his coat over her head, hiding her face in the shadow of his chest. "Use my shirt," he whispered. "Muffle it." She nodded against him. The rider bounced lightly on the trunk. The wood creaked again. "If I were a scared little girl," he muttered, "I'd crawl under this tree." The girl's nails dug into the cowboy's side. "He knows," she mouthed. The cowboy slid his hand slowly along the muddy ground, fingers closing around a smooth stone. "Listen to me," he breathed. "Yes," she whispered. "If he bends down, don't scream." "How?" "Think of open sky. Not this place." Water trickled past their boots. The sound tried to calm them, but their hearts thundered louder. The rider shifted again. "I'll check under," he said. He started to crouch before he could kneel. Another voice cut in sharply from up the ravine. "Leave it!" the second rider yelled. "Why?" the first snapped. "You hear that shot back there?" "Yeah." "Rockslide took one of ours," the second shouted. "The wall's blocked. We waste time here." The man on the trunk cursed. "The girl's worth money." "The land's worth more," the second barked. "Can you know that?" The first rider spat into the water. "Fine." We circled to the town crossing. Boots stepped off the trunk, hooves shuffled, leather creaked. The tree above them rocked once as the man mounted again. The girl dared a tiny whisper. "They go." "Wait," the cowboy murmured. The riders spoke again, voices fading as they turned away. "We'll post men at the ranch. And the church road. She can't vanish." "Not out here." Their hoofbeats rolled along the ravine, then drifted into distance. A micro-victory, thin as the light between branches. The girl sagged against the cowboy. "They're gone. For now," he said. "You sure?" "No, but we're breathing." She gave a shaky laugh that almost sounded like a sob. "You always talk like that." "Like what?" "Half hope, half trouble." "World's half both," he said. They slid out from under the tree. The air felt wider, though the sky above was already dimming. Evening stained the clouds in streaks of red and gold. The girl hugged his coat tighter. "Cold," she whispered. "We need to keep moving," he said. "Where?" "My place. We're closer to it than town." She stared at him. "Your roof," she said softly. "Yes." "You sure safe there? Safer than under a hanging tree?" She looked back at the pine trunk, shuddered, and nodded. "Then take me there." They climbed out of the ravine, boots slipping on the wet bank. The open plain spread before them, patches of sage, dark lines of fence, a distant lone windmill turning slow in the fading light. "Your land?" she asked. "Beyond that ridge," he said. "Far?" "Not if we're quick." They walked along a low rise, staying below the skyline. The girl watched the horizon, her steps careful. "You think they truly leave?" she asked. "No," he said. "They wait. Riders like that don't give up. They change angles." "Angles?" "Roads, laws, favors," he said. She frowned. "Laws." He nodded toward the distant town, barely a cluster of roofs and the faint shape of a church steeple. "They're not just brutes," he said. "They hold papers." "Papers. Claims, debts, orders with signatures." She swallowed. "So they own me on paper." "Someone thinks they do," he said. "And if paper says so." "Then men with badges listen." Her shoulders slumped. "So even if I run?" "They chase," he finished. "Always?" "Unless someone stands between you and those papers." She studied him. "You?" He held her gaze for a long second. "I bought you away from that barn," he said quietly. "I didn't buy you to own you. I paid to cut that rope." Her eyes shone in the fading light. "No one ever did that," she whispered. "I just did," he said. A wind pushed across the plain, carrying the faint sound of metal clinking. like chains or keys swaying on a belt. The girl turned sharply. "What's that?" "Jail keys," he said, "or wagon chains." Far off, a faint dust cloud moved along the main road to town, a wagon shape, slow, heavy, lantern swinging at its side. "They bring Cage," she whispered. "Could be," he said. "For me?" "For anyone who steps in their way." They moved faster now, cutting across a dry field. The cowboy kept her close, watching the wagon, watching the ridge, watching the sky darken. "Once at your house," she said, "we're safe." "We'll be hidden," he replied. "Hidden is not safe," she said softly. "It's the first step." They crested a low hill. His ranch lay below, small house, crooked fence, a dim lamp in the window. The girl squinted. "You left a light." "No," he said. "Then who did?" On the porch, a figure rose from a chair, coat neat, hat clean, a glint of metal on the chest, a badge. And beside the door, propped against the wall, a folded paper weighted like a loaded gun. The badge caught the last streak of daylight like a warning flare. The girl stopped so fast the cowboy almost collided with her. "Who is that?" she whispered. "Lawman," the cowboy murmured. "He waits for us?" "Looks like it." The figure on the porch stood perfectly still, too still for a man resting, hands clasped behind his back, boots polished, hat brim low. The girl trembled. "He's come for me," she whispered. "Not sure yet," the cowboy said. "He has papers." "I see them." The man's voice carried across the yard, smooth as polished steel. "You took your time." The cowboy stepped slightly ahead of the girl. "Your lantern's lit," he said. "Yes," the man replied. "Helps men see truth better." "What truth?" "That she belongs to someone." The girl flinched. "No," she whispered. "Not again." The lawman raised a folded document between two fingers. "This here is a retrieval order," he said. "Signed proper." "By who?" the cowboy asked. "By men with rights." "What kind of rights?" "Ownership, son." The girl's knees buckled. The cowboy caught her. "Easy," he whispered. "No more," she said. "Please, no more." The lawman stepped down from the porch, boots tapping slow, deliberate. "You know the rules," he said. "I know abuse," the cowboy answered. "Not your concern." "It is now." The lawman sighed, almost kindly. "You made things difficult. By saving someone. By interfering with business." The cowboy clenched his fists. "She's not cargo," he said. "She's claimed," the lawman replied. The girl shook her head violently. "Don't let them take me," she whispered. "They won't," the cowboy said. The lawman stopped a few paces away, close enough to see his face in the dusk, clean-shaven, calm eyes, a man who believed his badge made him righteous. He folded his hands before him. "You seem decent," the lawman said. "Return the girl and no trouble follows." "No," the cowboy said. The girl pressed against him, breath shaking. "You understand the weight of refusal?" the lawman asked. "I understand the weight of cruelty," the cowboy replied. A faint smile touched the lawman's lips. "You speak boldly for a rancher with no allies." "I don't need allies to see wrong." The lawman lifted the document. "This paper stands in any court," he said. "This land stands under my boots," the cowboy answered. "Bold words. True words." The lawman's tone cooled. "You obstruct lawful retrieval." "I stop thieves," the cowboy said. "Thieves?" "With signatures," the lawman scoffed. The girl tugged the cowboy's coat. "He lies," she whispered. "I know," he said. The lawman spread the paper wider. "This order is clear," he said. "The girl returns tonight." "She's not going anywhere," the cowboy replied. The lawman sighed again, this time with disappointment. "You leave me no gentle path," he said. "Choose another one," the cowboy replied. A flicker of irritation crossed the lawman's face. "So you talk like you're armed, Darfur," he said. "I'm enough," the cowboy answered. The lawman made a small gesture with two fingers. From behind the house, a wagon rolled forward, quiet, dark, barred at the back. A transport wagon. 2 men sat on it. One held shackles. The girl's breath caught in her throat. "No," she whispered. "Not Cage. Not again." The cowboy stepped in front of her. "They planned this," he murmured. "Yes," she whispered. "They knew we'd return." "Yes." The lawman motioned calmly toward the wagon. "She'll ride peaceful if she enters now," he said. "She won't ride anywhere." The lawman's voice sharpened. "You risk your land over a runaway." "I risk nothing," the cowboy said. "You risk wrong." The lawman studied him with cold patience. "You'll lose," he said softly. "We'll see," the cowboy answered. The girl clutched his sleeve. "Please don't fight," she whispered. "I won't start one," he said. "They push you," she said. "They can push," he answered. "Still won't start one." The lawman raised his hand. "Bring her," he ordered. The two men leapt from the wagon, heavy boots, hard faces, shackles clanking like distant thunder. The girl froze. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no." The cowboy moved in front of her. "Stay behind me." One man reached for the girl. The cowboy blocked him. "Back off," he said. "You step aside," the man growled. "No." The second man lifted the shackles. "Hold her," he told his partner. The girl cried out, sliding behind the cowboy's arm. "Don't let them." "I won't," he said. The first man grabbed the cowboy's coat. The cowboy shoved him backward, just enough to free space, not enough to start a fight. "Step back," the cowboy warned. "You're making this hard," the man said. "You made it hard," the cowboy replied. The lawman's voice sliced through the tension. "That's enough." He reached into his coat, slow, deliberate, confident. He withdrew another document, sealed with a wax stamp. The cowboy stiffened. "What's that?" "A property lien," the lawman replied. "On what?" the cowboy asked. The lawman smiled faintly. "On your land," the girl gasped. "You sign now," the lawman said, "or the girl leaves in chains." The cowboy stared at the seal, jaw tightening. And the lawman added, "Refuse, and by sunrise you won't own a single fence post." The lawman held the lien like a blade made of paper. The wax seal glowed red in the lantern light, sharp as any threat a gun could offer. The girl's fingers dug into the cowboy's sleeve. "They take your home," she whispered. "If I sign," he said quietly. "And if you don't?" "They take you." Her breath tightened. "No," she whispered. "Not for me." The lawman stepped closer, boots crunching on dry earth. "You can end this clean," he said. "No one harmed, no house burned, no bullets fired." The cowboy stared at the document. "Whose seal is that?" he asked. "County judge," the lawman said. "He works with them. He works with signatures." "And money," the cowboy muttered. The lawman smiled. "Everything costs something." The man with the shackles stepped forward. "Decide fast," he growled. The girl trembled behind the cowboy. "Don't lose your land," she whispered. "You matter more," he said. "Not true," she insisted. "Land keeps you alive." "You keep me human," he answered softly. Her eyes filled with stunned silence. The lawman tapped the lien with a finger. "Make your mark," he said. "I don't owe you anything," the cowboy replied. "You owe the law." "This ain't law." "It's written," the lawman said. "So is poison," the cowboy answered. The shackles clinked again as the men advanced. The girl stepped closer to the cowboy. "They take me now," she whispered. "No," he said. "How stop them?" "One step at a time." The lawman raised an eyebrow. "You planning resistance?" "I'm planning truth," the cowboy replied. "And truth won't change this paper," the lawman said, "but it changes the ground we're standing on." A low wind rolled across the yard, pushing dust between them. The girl brushed hair from her face. "They close in," she whispered. "I see them," he said. Both men approached, slow, steady, confident, hands ready, bodies angled for a grab. The cowboy subtly shifted his stance. "I'll give you one chance," he told them. "Chance for what?" the shackles man asked. "To walk away." "We're not leaving without her." "You'll leave," the cowboy said, "or you'll fall." The lawman chuckled softly. Bold words from one man. "I'm enough." The first man lunged. The cowboy sidestepped, grabbed the man's wrist, and twisted it sharply. The shackle chain swung uselessly. The man grunted and fell to one knee. The girl gasped. "You hurt him." "No," the cowboy said. "Just slowed him down." The second man charged. The cowboy ducked low, swept the man's legs, and sent him crashing into the porch steps. Wood splintered under the impact. Small victory. Clean, quick, controlled. The girl stared at him with wide eyes. "You fight like Win," she whispered. "I fight like a man protecting someone." But the lawman didn't flinch. He simply watched the two men struggle to stand. "That outburst," the lawman said calmly, "counts against you." "In whose book?" the cowboy asked. "Mine. And that's worth dirt." The lawman's expression cooled. "You assault deputies, you lose everything." "They're slavers," the cowboy said. "They're enforcers," the lawman corrected. "Of what?" the cowboy asked. "Cruelty on paper." The lawman stepped forward, hand drifting near his belt, not toward a gun, but toward a sealed envelope tucked beside it. "And now," he said, "I add resisting arrest." The girl's voice broke. "No, don't take him too." The cowboy placed a hand on her shoulder. "They won't touch me." "Then why tremble?" she whispered. "I'm thinking," he said. "Think faster," she urged. The lawman unfolded the sealed envelope. The paper crackled in the quiet yard. "This," he said, "is an immediate seizure notice." "For what?" the cowboy asked. "For interfering with a bonded claim," the lawman replied. He looked at the cowboy's small home. "Your house, your livestock, your fields." The girl's breath caught. "They steal everything," she whispered. "Not if I stop them," the cowboy said. "How?" "By proving this claim false," the lawman smirked. "And where will you find proof?" The cowboy looked at the girl, her eyes bruised, her wrists marked, her breath still shaky. "Right here," he said. The lawman laughed softly. "She's a minor," he said. "Her word isn't evidence." The girl stepped forward. "I have truth," she said. "Truth is not proof," the lawman answered. Her voice wavered. "My people know what they did." "They aren't here," the lawman replied. The cowboy exhaled slowly. "Then I'll bring them here," he said. The lawman's eyebrows lifted. "You'll what?" "I'll ride into the valley," the cowboy said. "Bring her tribe forward. Put their word to yours." The lawman's jaw tightened. "You dare challenge a judge?" "I challenge liars." The wind rose again, sharp, cold. The lawman lowered the lean. "You have until dawn," he said. "For what?" the cowboy asked. "To bring this so-called proof," the lawman said. "If you fail, she leaves in chains, and you lose every acre you stand on." The girl grabbed the cowboy's arm. "You can't leave," she whispered. "I must. They'll catch you." "I'll ride wide. They'll come here." "No," he said. "I'll draw them away." Her eyes filled. "I don't want you gone." "I'll return," he said. The lawman stepped backward toward the wagon. "Dawn," he said again. "Not a minute more." He mounted his horse. The wagon pulled away. The two deputies limped after it, cursing under their breath. The cowboy watched them fade into the dark. The girl tugged his coat, voice barely a whisper. "When you ride to the valley, what if they wait for you?" He looked at the horizon. "They will. And if they catch you?" He met her eyes. "Then dawn comes without me." Her breath broke. "No, please." He set his hand gently on her cheek. "I gave you my word," she trembled. "Promise you return." And he answered, "I promise." But in his eyes, she saw something she feared more than the lawman's papers. He wasn't sure he could keep it. Night settled over the ranch like a closing hand. The girl sat on the porch steps, clutching the cowboy's coat around her shoulders. The lamp inside flickered weakly, casting their shadows across the yard. The cowboy tightened the cinch on his horse, breath steady but eyes storming. "You shouldn't go," she whispered. "I have to. They wait for you." "I know." She moved closer, her bare feet silent on the wooden planks. "If you die," she said, "I die too." He shook his head. "No, you stay alive. You stay hidden." "I don't want hidden. I want safe. I'll make that happen." "How?" she asked. "Paper beats words." "Paper burns," he replied. Her eyes widened. "You burn their papers?" "No," he said. "I burn their lies." She stepped closer. "What if valley people don't help?" "They will." "Why?" "They know injustice," he said. The horse snorted, sensing tension. The cowboy rested a calming hand on its mane. The girl swallowed. "Take me with you." "No." "I slow you." "Yes." "I can track," she whispered. "I know." "I can guide through valley." "I know." "Then take me." He shook his head again, slower this time. "They want you alive. You slow me. I lose time." "And if you lose time?" He didn't answer. The silence gave her the answer. She looked at him with pain carved deep. "They break you before dawn." "Not if I ride smart." "You ride alone." "I've done worse." Her voice fell to a tremor. "I'm not afraid for me now." He looked at her, really looked. Dust streaked across her cheeks. A bruise darkened the edge of her jaw, but her eyes held a strength he hadn't seen before. "I'll return," he said softly. Her voice cracked. "I don't believe that." He touched her cheek. "You must." A distant sound tore through the night. Hooves. Not many. 3, maybe 4, moving fast along the lower ridge. The girl froze. "They come back," she whispered. "No," he murmured. "Too few for a raid." "Then who?" He listened. The rhythm was different, controlled, disciplined. "Scouts," he said. "Lawman's scouts." "Maybe worse." The girl grabbed his coat. "You leave now," she whispered. "Yes. And me." "You go inside." "No," she said. "I watch for danger." "You hide." "I won't," she said firmly. "Not tonight." He almost argued, but hooves struck closer, sharp, urgent, rolling in the cold air like distant thunder. The cowboy swung onto his horse. "If things go wrong," he said, "you run to the woods." "I stay," she whispered. "You run," he repeated. She grabbed his stirrup. "Don't ride into death." "I'm riding into truth." A glint of fear crossed her eyes. "Truth kills too." The riders crested the ridge, 3 silhouettes against the moon. Not the lawmen. Different hats, different posture. They rode with intent, not arrogance. The cowboy stiffened. "They aren't his men," he said. "Who then?" she whispered. The riders slowed as they approached the gate. One lifted a hand. "Evening," he called. The cowboy kept his hand near his holster, careful, calm. "What do you want?" the cowboy asked. The lead rider dismounted. Moonlight caught his face, lined, stern. Apache features marked by age and grief. The girl gasped. "My mother's brother," she whispered. "He lives." The cowboy looked back at her. "You know him?" "Yes." The Apache man stepped into the yard, gaze fixed on her. "You left us," he said in a low voice. She lowered her head. "They sold me," she whispered. He nodded once. "We followed tracks," he said. "We saw where you suffered." Tears welled in her eyes. "You came for me." "We came," he said, "for truth." The cowboy lowered his tension slightly. "You know the men chasing her?" he asked. The Apache man's jaw tightened. "They took from our villages," he said. "Not her alone." "So you'll speak for her?" the cowboy asked. "Yes." "You'll stand before the lawman?" "Yes." The cowboy felt hope swell, sharp, dangerous hope. "Then we ride before dawn," he said. "Sooner," the Apache man answered. "They gather in town now." The girl stepped forward. "You protect him too," she whispered. The Apache man studied the cowboy. "He protected you," he said. "That earns something." But then his voice hardened. "Still, the lawman spreads word you stole her." "I saved her," the cowboy said. "Truth," the Apache man replied. "But not the story written." The girl trembled. "They twist everything," she whispered. "Yes," the Apache elder said. "That is why we ride now." "Now?" the cowboy asked. "Yes," the elder replied. "Before they seal the judge's papers." The girl grabbed the cowboy's arm. "You go with them." "I must." "And me," she whispered. The Apache man shook his head. "She stays," he said. "Women hunted first." "I won't stay," she whispered fiercely. "You must," the cowboy said. "No," she breathed. "They take you. I go." He turned to her, eyes steady, voice soft. "If you come," he whispered, "you die." Her breath caught. Pain flashed across her face. "Then don't leave me." "I have to." To free you. The Apache riders mounted again. We ride fast, the elder said. Judge sleeps soon. The cowboy placed his boots in the stirrups. The girl gripped his coat, small hands shaking. Say you return, she whispered. I said it before. Say it again. He leaned close, forehead touching hers. I will return. Her voice cracked. You better. He turned the horse toward the riders. The elder raised his hand. Ride. They kicked forward into the dark. The girl watched him vanish into the night, tears burning in her eyes. Then, from the tree line behind the house, a figure stepped into the lamplight, a shadow holding a rifle. A voice she recognized too late. Girl, we ain't done with you. The girl froze as the rifle glinted in the lamplight. The shadow stepped closer, boots quiet, breath steady, eyes cold. You're coming with me, the man growled. Her voice trembled. No, no more. He cocked the rifle. You didn't think we'd leave you here, did you? She backed toward the porch, heart thundering. Stay away. The man smirked. Lawman rode off. House empty. You're alone. No, she whispered. I'm not. He stepped closer. Your cowboy ain't saving you now. Her back hit the porch post. Her hands shook, but she raised her chin. He returns, she said. He won't, the man replied. He will. He aimed the rifle. Move. She didn't. I said move. A sudden whistle split the air. An arrow slammed into the dirt at the man's boot. He spun around. The Apache elder sat on horseback at the edge of the yard, bow raised. Two young riders flanked him, stern and silent. You trespass our kin, the elder said. The man snarled. She ain't your kin. She is now, the elder replied. The man lifted his rifle. Too slow. A second arrow tore into his coat sleeve. He dropped the rifle with a cry. The elder lowered his bow. Leave, he said. The man clutched his arm. You can't claim her, he spat. We claim her spirit, the elder answered. You claim only chains. The man backed away, stumbling toward the shadows. This isn't over, he hissed. The elder's voice chilled the wind. It is. The man disappeared into the trees. Silence settled. The girl sagged against the porch post, breath shaking. You came back, she whispered. The elder dismounted and approached her slowly. You are not safe alone, he said. I tried, she whispered. You endured, he replied. That is different. Her eyes filled. Will he return? She asked. The elder studied the dark horizon. He rides into danger, he said. I know, but he rides beside us now. She clutched the coat tighter. He won't face Judge alone. No, the elder said. Truth walks with him. The girl sank onto the porch steps. He promised he'd return, she whispered. And he will, the elder said. How do you know? Because a man who risks his land for a stranger, he said, does not break promises. She wiped her eyes. I fear sunrise. So do we, the elder admitted. Wind swept across the ranch, carrying the distant rumble of hooves from the valley road. Echoes rolled like thunder, growing louder, stronger. The girl rose to her feet. What is that? The elder stepped beside her. A storm of men, he said. Your cowboy. Part of it. The moon broke through the clouds. Down the ridge, a line of riders approached, Apache horses in front, the cowboy among them, posture straight, eyes set, determination burning like fire. Her hand flew to her mouth. He lives. The riders thundered into the yard. Dust swirled around them. The cowboy swung off his horse before it stopped moving. She ran to him, feet pounding the ground. You returned. Told you I would. She threw her arms around him, burying her face in his coat. You scared me, she whispered. Scared myself, he murmured. The Apache riders dismounted. The elder held a bundle of papers. These, he said, are testimonies. The cowboy nodded. Enough to break his claims? Enough, the elder said, to break his power. The girl stepped back. You face him now. Yes, the cowboy said. Tonight. Before dawn, like he demanded. Her voice softened. I ride too. No, he said. Yes, she whispered. I am part of this truth. The elder placed a hand on her shoulder. You ride behind me, he said. You protect me. We protect each other. The cowboy tightened his saddle. By dawn, he said, the lies end. The girl looked between the two men, one who saved her life, one who carried her blood, both standing for her freedom. "Then we ride," she whispered. They mounted their horses. The elder raised his hand. Dozens of Apache riders lifted torches. Firelight blazed across the dark land. The girl took one last look at the small house, the lamp still glowing softly inside. Then the cowboy leaned close. "Ready?" "I am," she whispered. They kicked forward, and together they rode into the night, toward the judge, toward the lawman, toward the final reckoning at dawn. If this story pulled you in, if the dust, danger, and heartbeat tension kept you watching, then don't stop here. More Western tales like this, full of hidden truths, impossible choices, and courage that rises in the darkest hours, are waiting for you. Make sure you follow, like, and share to keep these stories alive. Your support helps bring every cliffhanger, every twist, every stolen breath to life. And if you want the next chapter, the next rescue, or the next showdown, tell us in the comments. Saddle up, stay close, and don't ride off yet. There's a whole frontier of stories ahead.